The studio was buzzing with warmth and anticipation when Joanna Gaines stepped onto Drew Barrymore's stage, greeted by waves of applause and cheers. Fans leaned forward in their seats, eager to hear about Joanna's latest projects, her design, philosophy, and perhaps a few stories about her family. At first, everything unfolded as expected. Drew's bubbly energy met Joanna's calm composure in a way that felt light and effortless. They laughed about family chaos, shared anecdotes about balancing motherhood with work, and touched on the Magnolia Empire that had grown into a cultural phenomenon. But as the conversation deepened, Drew's tone began to shift. The questions weren't hostile, but there was a sharper edge in her delivery. She pressed Joanna on whether the Gaines brand had become too polished, too perfect, whether authenticity had been lost in the pursuit of empire building. Joanna's smile held steady for a moment, but something flickered in her eyes. The crack was subtle, yet unmistakable, and a ripple of tension moved through the room. Drew leaned forward, her hands gesturing animatedly, her voice both curious and insistent. "Do you ever worry," she asked, "that fans see you as unattainable? Too perfect? Too curated?" The audience held its breath. Joanna, momentarily caught off guard, gave a soft laugh meant to lighten the moment, but her answer carried steel. "I don't live to be perfect. Do I live to inspire? Yes." She locked eyes with Drew as she said it, and the crowd gasped softly, realizing the interview had crossed into far more charged territory. Drew, unwilling to let the energy slip, tried to soften the moment with humor. But Joanna wasn't ready to let the words vanish in a joke. Her posture tightened, her arms folded, protectively. The questions kept coming. Rumors of staff dissatisfaction, whispers of over-commercialization, even concerns about how much her children were exposed to fame. Joanna's voice lowered, but her tone sharpened. "I came here to talk about creativity and family," she said, "not to defend myself against things I've already made peace with." The tension in the room was thick. The audience didn't know whether to clap in support or remain frozen. Drew, sensing she had touched a nerve, tried to pivot, but the moment had already shifted. Joanna, usually the picture of grace, now bristled. "There's a difference between an interview and an ambush," she said firmly, her frustration carefully controlled. Drew countered, her tone still wrapped in that familiar sunshine, but with a thread of defiance. "But don't you think," she asked, "the bigger the brand, the harder it is to stay authentic?" The remark landed like a blow. Joanna's face hardened. "Maybe you should look in the mirror, Drew," she shot back. "Hosting this show comes with the same questions of authenticity, doesn't it?" The studio gasped as one. Drew blinked, momentarily speechless. Cameras caught every heartbeat of silence as the two women locked eyes, the unspoken challenge hanging between them. Finally, Joanna leaned back, drew in a steadying breath, and shook her head. "I don't think this is the space for me today," she said calmly. Rising from her chair, she adjusted her blazer with deliberate grace and walked off stage. The room erupted in shocked murmurs, some clapping for her boldness, others stunned, into silence. Drew remained seated, her smile forced, her composure shaken. "Well," she said with a nervous laugh, "that's live television for you." The cameras scrambled to cut, but the damage was done. Backstage, producers rushed to persuade Joanna to return. Crew members whispered that the air had been sucked out of the room the moment she stood up, but Joanna was resolute. "I'm done," she reportedly told a staffer. "I didn't sign up for this energy." Within minutes, clips of her dramatic exit were all over the internet. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram exploded. Hashtags like #TeamJoanna and #TeamDrew began trending, sparking a digital battlefield. Some fans praised Joanna for standing her ground. Others defended Drew, saying she was only asking what the audience was thinking. Entertainment outlets pounced, flooding feeds with headlines like, Joanna Gaines walks out on Drew Barrymore. Clash over authenticity turns heated. Behind the scenes of Joanna versus Drew, what really happened? By evening, both camps had issued careful statements. Drew's team framed it as a passionate exchange between two strong women, while Joanna posted a cryptic Instagram message: "Peace is walking away when the energy no longer serves you." The post was instantly flooded with heart emojis and supportive comments. Celebrities like Reese Witherspoon and Mindy Kaling quietly liked it, and influencers reposted it with captions like "Protect your peace" and "Queen behavior." Behind the scenes, however, fallout rippled quickly. Network executives reportedly demanded a meeting with Drew, worried about advertisers. Some producers claimed Drew had ignored advice not to push Joanna too hard. "She's known for walking away when something doesn't align with her values," one insider said. In Texas, Joanna returned home to her family and her Magnolia projects, appearing calm but privately shaken. Friends revealed she had expected a warm, celebratory interview about creativity and new ventures. Instead, one said, it felt like a cross-examination. For Joanna, leaving wasn't about anger, it was about dignity. Meanwhile, social media couldn't get enough. TikTok edits of Joanna's pointed line, "Maybe you should look in the mirror," racked up millions of views. Memes spread of her graceful exit turned into GIFs representing empowerment. Even people who rarely watched daytime TV were suddenly talking about the saga. Critics weighed in. Some defended Drew, saying her style echoed Oprah or Barbara Walters, pressing for honesty. Others argued her sudden pivot to hardball clashed with her usually empathetic persona, making the exchange feel jarring, even hypocritical. Drew, under pressure, eventually addressed the controversy directly on her show. Looking into the camera, her voice soft, she said, "I never want anyone to feel unwelcome here. Joanna Gaines is someone I admire deeply, and I regret if my questions came across as harsh. That was never my intention." The studio audience applauded, but reactions online were mixed. Some found it heartfelt, others thought it was damage control. For Joanna, the ordeal reinforced her boundaries. Insiders said she turned down multiple requests from other talk shows, unwilling to step into environments where she couldn't control the narrative. "She'll only go where she feels respected," one source explained. For Drew, the clash became a cautionary tale in balancing curiosity with compassion. For Joanna, it was proof that protecting one's peace sometimes meant walking away, even in the glare of cameras. And for the millions watching, the moment became more than daytime drama. It sparked a cultural conversation about fame, authenticity, and the power of boundaries, reminding everyone that sometimes silence or a graceful exit speaks louder than anything else.